It was born in the world's most prestigious endurance race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's building a spectacle of its own with the largest prototype fields in the sport's history. Names like Porsche, BMW, and Chrysler have thrilled fans with great action in prototype and production classes alike. It focused the spotlight on sports car racing in the United States. It is the American Le Mans Series. The first three races have been won by three different teams and cars. BMW launched the series by dominating the opening round 12 Hours of Sebring. In Atlanta, the Raffinelli team started mid-pack, but enjoyed the victory dance after a steering come-from-behind win. And in Canada, Team Panos used brute horsepower and swept the top two spots at Mosport. Today, in the heart of California's wine country, the chase for the American Le Mans Series Championship begins in earnest on NBC. It is the Grand Prix of Sonoma, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax on NBC from the very demanding, very tricky Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California. Exotic sports cars being prepared now, their final moments before they go racing. Some 12 turns, 2.5 miles around this very, very tricky road course, facing the drivers and teams shortly. Hi, welcome to NBC's coverage of the American Le Mans Series. I'm Alan Bestwick. The theory for the American Le Mans Series is this: take the best drivers and teams from the famed 24-hour race run in France each June and bring them here to North America to compete against this country's best drivers and race teams. The results so far have been spectacular. Joining me for our broadcast today, Bill Adam, our NBC road racing analyst, who's run at and won at most all of the top courses here in North America. And Bill, based on what we've seen so far this season and here this weekend, you and I are very excited about today's race. Why?
Excited indeed. I think by anyone's standards, this has to be deemed a marvelous success. We've had three great races so far, three different winners, and in three hugely different cars. Now, currently, the Europeans seem to have the upper hand. They won the first and the second, but the Panos team with good old American horsepower came back in the last race, dominated. They had a spectacular success. And funny enough, when you look at all this and see who's winning, the guy who's leading the championship, driving an American-engined car and hasn't even won a race yet.
Elliott Forbes Robinson, veteran racer out of Denver, North Carolina, is leading the prototype championship standings entering today's race. Not by much, and you see there that those drivers behind him are not any of those that we've mentioned as being some of the winners already this season. Let's go down to the grid now and hear from the championship leader entering today's race. He's with our Steve Evans.
You're looking at the pit area of the Dyson Racing number 20 Riley and Scott Ford-powered car, and even though it has more miles on it than most city buses, it has faithfully carried Elliott Forbes Robinson to the driver points lead. But you finished second, third, and fourth. That's a pattern you need to start reversing right now.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. It's going the wrong direction at the moment, but the car's running pretty good here, and I think that you know, the old car's a little bit short on some tracks, but I think at this track we actually have a shot at running up front.
Fuel economy could be a problem for this team, though.
That's true. Some of the teams are getting excellent mileage, but I think that the race is such now. We have improved it. Lozano has helped us out with the engine, and we're getting better than we've ever gotten before, so hopefully we can make it on the same amount of stops everybody else is.
And the key word is going to be patience. Patience.
Oh, man, that's the truth, Steve. We've got a track here that's you're constantly in a corner. And so we're running out here where you have to follow people all the time, and if you get anxious, somebody's going to go off the road, so we got to be careful.
Good luck to you. Let's go down to the pits to Martin Haven. He's with the fastest qualifier of them all, the BMW driver, J.J. Leto.
J.J. Leto on pole position here for the Sears Point Raceway. Now, BMW has already won the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the 12 Hours of Sebring. How different is this short race going to be for the team?
It's very different, you know. It's just, first of all, you know, the car has been designed for Le Mans, so it's really difficult to get the car working in such a slow circuits, you know, where you need a lot of downforce, because we don't have such a high downforce kit on the car. So we have been building all weekend, or the BMW team has been building a lot of things, you know, just to gain a little bit downforce on the car. And, you know, it was good in the qualifying. And, you know, it's 2 hours, 45 minutes with two drivers. We just have to get the things going, you know, from the start and then finish well, you know. It's we need all the points we can have at the moment.
Well, I'm sure the way the car looks on the racetrack, you're well in place to get them now. You won the 24 Hours of Le Mans on driver speed, but on pit crew speed as well. Your guys have been practicing hard here too.
Yeah, the whole team has been working very hard this year, and you know, they started early enough with the new car, and all the testing we made, you know, was very successful all the time. You know, we improved the things, and we got better and better and better, and you know, that's what you see, what you saw already in Sebring. You know, we won 12 hours, we won 24 hours with BMW, so it's just it has been a good year for us so far.
Guys, the BMWs are back, and they're looking to win. Can the American muscle do against them?
Lado and all of the driving stars of today's Grand Prix of Sonoma beginning to strap in. They'll be making their reconnaissance lap shortly. We're counting down to the start of the Grand Prix of Sonoma for the American Le Mans Series.
And now, if you will please turn to page 17.
You're in business to make things happen without mistakes.
I don't have a page 17.
What?
I don't have a 17. No 17.
Oh, well,
I've got 4 17s.
I got a bunch of 3s.
Toshiba copiers never let you down. From brilliant color copies to network connectivity and perfect collation. With Toshiba, you're in business.
Should have used the Toshiba.
For information in the dealer near you, call 1-800-GO-TOSHIBA.
You guys! You didn't! You did! And guess what? We got you a
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Thank you.
The laws of physics are a harsh opponent. They push you, you push back. Sometimes, after 30 years of struggling, you win. And as everyone knows, at Porsche, we like to win. Introducing the Porsche 911. The laws of physics have just raised a big white flag.
The American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Sonoma, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax, is brought to you by the Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. By Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. By Porsche, who wishes to remind you there is no substitute. And by Toshiba Copiers and Fax, your source for digital connected office solutions.
Sears Point Raceway, Sonoma, California, site of today's Grand Prix of Sonoma for the American Le Mans Series. We continue our countdown toward the green flag. There are 3 different types of race cars that will compete together in today's event. The exotic prototype machines we showed you a moment ago, and a couple of production-based classes that will compete for race wins and season championship points within their own division. Bill has a look for us now at the differences between the classes of cars in today's race and the differences between those machines from a year ago to now.
The prototype class is the most beautiful race car in the world. Fuel capacity of 90 liters, no traction control or ABS, a normally aspirated motor to go up to 6 liters, turbo 3.6 to bring these cars over 200 miles an hour. GTS class based on production cars, but from last year they have bigger motors and tires, greatly enhanced aerodynamics. They are brutally fast cars. Finally, our GT class. This remains unchanged from last year and has been a huge battleground for BMW battling Porsche.
Here are the championship standings to this point in the year for the GTS class machines. Martin Snow, a Porsche driver, is leading John Morton by a pretty good bit, but none of those drivers you see on the panel are likely to be the dominant headline makers in the GTS division today. The headlines are likely to be made by the Viper and Corvette factory teams. Here's Bill with more on the story of those 2 efforts.
GTS class racing produced one of the most impressive victories in years at the 24 Hours Le Mans when Viper came through to win big there, followed by this victory at Mosport. The celebrations were endless. You can see the guys are up yelling for their car. But the challenger is coming through in the name of Corvette. The car known as America's sports car wants to make a return to the victory circle. It did not happen at Sebring. They were fraught with mechanical problems. But watch out for today.
Even though the Dodge Viper packs an 8-liter V10 under its bright red hood, the car was not really favored to win the pole in GTS because there's no long straightaway at Sears Point to use all of that muscle. Nobody told Olivier Beretta, a native of Monaco, just 29, that you got in this car And bingo, track record, you had never seen Sears Point in your life.
No, I never see a Sears Point, and also the car is the first time for the team also, for the driver, me also. So, I mean, everything went well, and the Viper very fast. Dodge Motorsport have done a very good job, the Team Oreca also. I mean, we are quite confident.
As a European, what is your impression of this racetrack? Do you like it?
I like a lot, you know, it's very good for drive because it's a big rhythm. You have not so much straight lines, so not much time to sleep, and many corners, fast, slow, so it's quite fun.
He's on the pole. He'll be co-driving with David Donahue, trying to beat that Corvette.
Thank you, Steve. Now let's move to the GT class, and here are the championship standings there entering today's race. Kurt Wagner leading Johannes van Overbeek and Kentucky's Brian Cunningham by 16 points. Now the story here is that Wagner is a Porsche driver. Van Overbeek and Cunningham drive for BMW. This division has really become a heated confrontation between two teams of different manufacturers that nearly came to a boiling point one race ago.
In GT class, there is no love lost here. This is hard-fought corporate fighting right up front as Porsche battles BMW. At Mosport, BMW did not have the perfect day. They had trouble after trouble, which left the door open for Alex Job Racing to bring their car from the back of the grid all the way through this pack to finish in a great first place. This will be no different today. The battles will be endless. There's a lot at stake for these two German manufacturers.
Sitting on the GT pole, the brand new Porsche GT3 machine from Alex Job Racing, 23-year-old German driver Dirk Müller, the man who set pole. Now tell us about this car. How does it differ from the older cars in the field?
Okay, this is a brand new car from Porsche. It's called the 911 GT3R, and it's the first time being over here in the States. We ran this car in Le Mans first time, and the difference between the old RSR and the new model is you know, the aerodynamic is much, much better. We are using a liquid-cooled engine for the first time, not a air-cooled engine, and the engine is a little bit stronger. So the main difference is in the tires. You know, they are a little bit smaller. We are running for the new ACO regulations, so the car is heavier, smaller tires. So it's even strange, you know, without ABS to do a fast lap time, but the team, Alex Job, you know, did a fantastic job. The Michelin tires are working really well, so the brand new car is quick here.
Guys, this man is not old enough to rent a car, but Porsche have trusted him with their brand new baby. What can he do with it in the race?
Cars are being moved to the grid, race ready. We'll have a look at this challenging Sears Point course and the starting lineup when we come back in just a moment. The Grand Prix of Sonoma right around the corner. You're watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.
This is my grandpa Giovanni. Nobody tells stories like he does. Give him good food and good people, he'll charm you all night. That's how it was last night at the Olive Garden, where everything feels more like family, more Italian. Then, out came the seafood portofino. It was perfect. Italian seafood and wine sauce with scallops and mussels, shrimp and linguine, plus all the salad and breadsticks you want for $9.95. What a feast it was for all of us. Our ears, too.
You're beautiful.
The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 at Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
What are you waiting for? Chateau Elan, I-85 at exit 48, just 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
The American Le Mans Series visiting the Sonoma Valley of California today. It is the Grand Prix of Sonoma at Sears Point Raceway. Drivers being brought to their cars now. There you see the starting grid. They'll be rolling off for the pace and parade laps in just a moment. Very challenging racetrack ahead of the drivers this afternoon. Bill Adam takes us for a tour around this very twisting uphill-downhill course.
Just over 2.5 miles long with 12 turns. Seems pretty easy until you look at the elevation changes here. Dramatic differences in height. Look at up here as we go across the top of turn 2. You can't see where you're going for a start, and then when you start to feed power in, the track suddenly levels out. All of a sudden, your car wants to go sideways. Now the next thing is an elevation change going downhill, just to be different. Braking, very difficult. The car wants to travel further, and right here as you squeeze power on, a change of pavement. The longest corner of the track. This is known affectionately as the carousel, and you can't see where the turn goes to. You feed power in very, very gently. Your helmet feels like it doubles the weight. Finally onto this straight leading up to the last corner before the long twisting back straight. This is a wide open corner, changed different from last year's track, and look at how open it is. A great spot to pass, feed power in as much as you can take, up to 170 miles an hour down to DS's, to the best spot on the track for passing. Very heavy braking, bend the car in over those rumble strips, but watch the wall and feed power in to finish your lap.
Now let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. 42 teams getting set to go to the green flag. On the pole, BMW's J.J. Lato won Sebring in March, team with British vet Steve Soper. Outside, Team Raffinelli, Californian Eric Comas, team with Italian Mimo Scatarella. Starting third, the first of the Panos Fords, David Brabham, son of legend Jack, Frenchman Eric Bernard. Fourth is the second Panos, Georgia's Johnny O'Connell, team with Denmark's Jan Magnussen, winner of the most recent race at Mosport. Starting fifth, California's Bill Oberlin in the second factory BMW, team with Le Mans winner Joe Winkelhock of Germany. State College, Pennsylvania's Butch Leitzinger and current point leader Elliott Forbes Robinson next on the grid. Seventh is 98 FIA GT champ Pedro Lamy of Portugal with German Thomas Becher and a privateer BMW. There's the second of the Dyson Fords, England's James Weaver to start driving that car. Italian Max Angelelli, the top qualifying Ferrari, he'll start ninth. 10th is his teammate Wayne Taylor, two-time sports car champ, teamed with former F1 driver Alex Caffey. Didier Tays, normally a front runner in this type of racing, had a little trouble throughout the weekend. He starts just outside the top 10. Another to watch is the Porsche 911 of Scotsman Alan McNish. They're just back in 16th position. Top qualifier in GTS starts 18th overall. It is the Dodge Viper of Olivier Beretta. He's teamed with Pennsylvania's David Donahue. They were the winners at Mosport last race. Followed very closely, followed by the Corvette of Ron Fellows, Chris Neifel and their Team Viper for Carl Wendlinger and Minnesota's Tommy Archer. 25th overall is the GT pole winner, Dirk Muller. Talked with him just a little while ago. He has one of the Porsches out in front of the first of the BMWs, which is being driven to start by Boris Said today. He's back in 27th spot. There you see Muller with his teammate Kurt Wagner out of Los Angeles. Here's a look at the rest of the starting lineup for today's Grand Prix of Sonoma.
You know, I think this is going to be a really wicked race here today because we have such tight grids in all of the classes. And the difficulty with this track, with these elevation changes, means that your mirrors are blind as well as your own point of view. You're going to be moving your car from one side to the other, and watch out for cars coming up behind. There will be contact.
Drivers and teams have been here since Thursday, testing and tinkering. Time for practice is over. It's time to start. Here's the Grand Marshal for today's race, Richard Taylor, the Vice President of Toshiba, with the command to start.
Richard, if you would please say those words.
For everyone here at Sears Point and the millions of people watching live on NBC, gentlemen, start your engines.
The field is roared to life. They'll be rolling off toward the green flag in just a moment. We're back with the start of the Grand Prix of Sonoma next on NBC.
Newton's law is a joke.
The
Gravity Games, this fall on NBC.
You guys! You didn't! You did! And guess what? We got you what you said!
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Thank you.
What are you waiting for? Chateau Elan, I-85 at exit 48, just 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
The Porsche Boxster. There really is no substitute.
Join me in Providence at the Gravity Games on NBC.
Back in California's wine country, the Sonoma Valley for the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Sonoma. Live on NBC, you see the field rolling from its positions on the grid. One pace lap, and then the green flag to begin this afternoon's event. Number of great onboard views for you. We'll ride this afternoon with the Panos machine of Johnny O'Connell and his teammate, Jan Magnussen. They won the most recent race at Mosport a few weeks ago. One of the GT cars, the BMW effort out of Prototype Racing. Boris Said starting 27th on the grid today. We'll ride with him. We'll be on board one of the Olive Garden Ferraris. There you see Max Angelelli lined up 9th on the grid. That's going to be a great view this afternoon throughout this twisting course. Also today we will be with the lead. We'll be with the Porsche, the champion Porsche, Alan McNish, the 98 Le Mans winner. There you see the view from his machine as he works around this racetrack getting set to go. And also riding today with Bill Oberlin in one of the other BMW cars. He's starting 5th on the grid, and he should give us a great ride as well. He is not qualified as well as he hoped to, but I don't think he'll be back there for very long, even though 5th is not that far back, but I don't think he'll be there for long.
No,
A look at some of the storylines in today's race. Tire wars and management.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a track that'll just chew up some of the tires. And of course, we got a huge tire battle. Yokohama versus Michelin versus Goodyear versus Pirelli. So there's a great deal of prestige that's going to be involved with those manufacturers as well.
Fuel consumption, some teams getting much better fuel mileage than others. Ferrari engines, the GTS class Viper versus Corvette, and the BMW versus Porsche in the GT class we've documented already. We'll keep our eyes on all of that. Looking now as the drivers make their one lap around the racetrack behind the pace car. What are they thinking here at this point?
Well, right now it's just a case of getting the tires up to temperature, making sure the car is okay, and trying to plan out some pre-race strategy. Do you take a chance on jumping the start? Because of course, like in every form of racing, the first lap is going to be the most dangerous. This is really when everybody is clumped together. You have to watch out front, out the side, watch behind. It's a very, very difficult time. So you want to try and plan by watching what the driver is doing around you.
A little bit of nerves, a little bit of edginess behind the wheel?
I don't think so. Most of these drivers are such pros that at this point it is just pure calculation. You've gotten rid of all of your nerves at this point. Right now it is cold, calculating. You're almost like a Toshiba computer at this point.
One of the rules in this particular form of racing is that if you don't get your car on the starting grid in time before what they call they close the grid, you have to start the race from the pit lane. And there you see, we've got us a whole line of cars that are going to have to fall to the rear of the field after the rest of them go by at speed.
Yeah, you can see the race drivers sometimes are in the same boat as street drivers. Now, this is coming down, approaching the start line. You're going to watch this Corvette. It should peel off here very shortly. This will give us a great opportunity. A tremendous start. We've got this uphill climbing first turn, and then a very tight funnel as they come into turn 2, so watch this.
This is a timed race, so once the green flag waves, it is a specified amount of time before the checkered flag waves. Here we go, down for the start of the Grand Prix of Sonoma.
BMW got a little bit of a start there. Great, and you can see the Schiattarella's car is right up there in second place. I think the two Panos is third and fourth. Yes, they are. BMW, wonderful start. He really judged that flag perfectly. Watch in the back here for contact. Alan McNeish going around the outside of somebody. This looks like you're on board an aircraft carrier that actually is the view over the Panos. These drivers sit so far back in a car that by a lot of conventional standards shouldn't win, but by gee, they showed the world at the Mosport race. Incredibly fast cars, big thundering Ford horsepower, and tremendous downforce off those black and orange machines. There we go right there. That is car number 2. That's the Panos. Directly up ahead is one of the real exotic European cars. That is a V10. Yeah, you heard me right, a 10-cylinder Judd motor. This is a derivative from the Formula One engine. A great sound. If anything, they even outdo the scream of a Ferrari with that Judd motor. And the Panos drivers are saying it puts the power down extremely well.
That is Johnny O'Connell and the Panos you're watching, chasing the Team Ravanelli machine. Eric Comas starting that machine. The driver who qualifies the car in this form of racing has to start the race, or the car has to go to the back of the grid.
And Johnny O'Connell is somebody we have to watch today. We spoke to him a little bit earlier this morning, and he was saying that of all things, last night back at his room, he hurt his thumb trying to pick something up. That is something that can wear on you because the road shock that comes back to the steering wheel through the gear shift, tremendously strong. Over the course of a long distance race, this could hurt. There's a good battle right there, the number 20 Dyson car, and I think that's Bill Oberlin directly behind. He's being very patient right now.
Oberlin in the white car, the BMW, that is Butch Leitzinger in the Dyson machine, the number 20 car.
I'm a big fan of Bill Oberlin. He is a driver that has shown me such versatility, as has Butch Leitzinger. I mean, he's also a really talented young American driver, both of them. But Oberlin has done well in Atlantic cars. He does well in sedans with the M3 BMWs over the last year. He does well in sports cars. I think he's got a great future with BMW. And he drives with not only a tremendously strong right foot, but he really uses his intelligence. He's very smart in these cars.
Looking at Butch Leitzinger, 30-year-old from State College, Pennsylvania. A very successful driver in this form of racing over the last several years. He's got a lot of wins, 16 victories behind him.
Yeah, he has been. Butch really does a good job. I think he's making old Dad Bob very proud. Down through these S's. This is blindingly fast at this point of the track. They're flying through these corners 160, 170 miles an hour. Now we're back up at the other end of the straight, at the other end of the track, I should say. And that is probably, couldn't get a good look at the number there.
That is Doc Bundy in the O2 car, one of the Porsche 911s, who appears to be, a little bit off the pace.
I think so. Back up, there's Bill Oberlin once again.
Let's go down to pit road, get an update there from Steve Evans.
Well, you guys were talking about the 43 car, Bill Oberlin, that BMW. Let's remember in practice it was involved in a little shunt that damaged the tub. The repairs were made in the Trinity Holding, but this morning after warm-ups, the crew completely changed all the setups on that car, front and rear, completely different suspension setups he's having to deal with in the opening laps here.
All right, so that is the story on that machine you're looking at there. Bill Oberlin currently running 5th in the BMW, behind his teammate J.J. Lehto, leading early in the Grand Prix of Sonoma on NBC.
The BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
You never met my big Italian family, but they love you already. So tonight, they'll share with you a fresh salad this big, then pass around the baby pictures. They'll share baskets of soft garlic breadsticks, then pass around the baby. What they have, you can have. And that's how the Olive Garden feels. They call it Hospitaliana, which means everything of ours is yours. That's my cousin. She wants to share your dessert. The Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family.
Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
The American Le Mans Series continues with the Rose City Grand Prix, Portland. Next Sunday at 4 Eastern on NBC.
Back at the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Next Saturday, NBC's coverage of the WNBA continues as the Mercury meet the Comets. Their season series knotted at 1 game apiece as All-Star Jennifer Gillum and the Phoenix Mercury look to win Western Conference bragging rights over Cynthia Cooper and the first-place Houston Comets. The Mercury versus the Comets next Saturday, 4 Eastern on NBC. Looking at the leading BMW, field kind of settled in the opening laps now. That is J.J. Lado, started on the pole and has led the entire going so far. He's actually built up a fairly comfortable lead, about 2.5 seconds, over the second-place car, the Team Raffinelli machine of Eric Comas. Lado already in lap traffic, having to deal with some of the slower cars. Like we talked about earlier, the rate of closure on those machines is big, and he has to be careful. Now let's look back at the other two classes in the race. Back to GTS, Viper Corvette, kind of the storyline there. Viper, the leading machine there. That is Olivier Beretta, the fastest qualifier in the GTS class, being closely pursued by his teammate. And then the Corvette, or he was being closely pursued by his teammate, Carl Wendlinger, and the other Viper. He's not in the shot anymore.
Yeah, I think Carl might have got a little bit over-anxious. And one of the problems with this big 8-liter V10, it naturally has an enormous torque curve. When you come off the corners, it is very easy to spin these rear tires, and you really have to treat it very carefully. Sometimes early on in the race, you're trying to push and maybe gain a little bit of a gap. Well, you can't do it. You're going backwards before you even know it. Now, we heard that the 92 car was originally running second place. This is why he no longer is in second. Watch at the back of the picture. That's the Viper version of farming.
Agricultural racing here in the wine country. That is at the top of the hill, turn 7. And Carl Wendlinger has dropped to 3rd in the GTS class because of that spin, with the Corvette of Ron Fellows getting by him.
It is so easy to do. Again, because of these elevation changes, you come downhill into these corners, the back end is getting light. That's a very common mistake.
So that is Beretta, the leading car in the GTS class in the Viper. Now let's look to the GT class, the stock prototype, stock production-based, I guess is the word I'm looking for, machines. And that is the lead car. We talked to the young man before the start of the race. That is Dirk Muller, a real rising star for Porsche as far as their drivers are concerned.
He is indeed. He is a very, very good young driver. Very nice to chat to, as we all saw earlier, and he is extremely smooth. He is driving this car as if he had 20 years experience, making it look easy, which it is not. This is very tough here.
There you see the rundown of the GT class, upper left of your screen, including the differential between positions. A time behind the leader that those drivers are overall in the running order. Now this GT class is supposed to be a battle between Porsche and BMW.
Yeah, it is going to be a very difficult battle as well. The battle has been heating up all year long because of the prestige associated with winning this series. BMW for the last year, look at this, the Zero car just rocketing through the pack here. But BMW have really had the upper hand over the last couple of seasons. They have looked very strong. Now Porsche have come back up with this brand new car to re-challenge, and it keeps seeming like the stakes are getting higher and higher all the time.
There is the lead car in the GT class being overtaken by some of the faster cars. And this is the race for second place, going through some of the lower traffic.
Gosh, and that is the problem with passing here. This is so tough. You can bet your boots that Mueller and everyone else around him in the slower Porsches would be watching their own line into the corner where they wanted to turn in. They would hardly have time to look in their mirror because they're on a 130-mile-an-hour corner at that point. The Panos has just sliced in between, made a great pass.
Looking at the overall standings in the upper left corner of your screen, the front of those two cars in the picture there, that is Johnny O'Connell. in the first of the two Panos machines, running third overall. Right behind him, his teammate David Brabham, trying to chase down the Team Raffinelli machine, the Judd-powered machine. Eric Comas just ahead of those two drivers. Let's go to pit road to Steve Evans, who has more on these Panos machines we're watching.
What I find amazing with the Panos cars, I mean, they look bulky, but they're so nimble. They look long, but you can put them around any kind of a corner. And an amazing thing is, as awkward as they may look, I'm told by tire engineers that they are unbelievably easy on tires and have been since they debuted at Road Atlanta. They can run far more miles than many of the other P cars can. It's just a perfectly balanced setup.
Well, you know what that is? I mean, if these cars are very easy on tires, that is a sign of tremendous downforce. Rather than slipping and sliding around the track, they are perfectly planted, and we've seen it all weekend long. If you look at the nose of these cars, if we get a close-up of the nose later, it's almost like a triplane, not even a biplane, but a triplane. They each have three little winglets on the headlight cover. They have this massive deck across the top of the car. Look at that big flat plane.
Look at it there.
Like incredible downforce here, and then that giant wing on the back. They are planted so firmly on the track, and all week long in the practice sessions, their turn-in speeds into corners, it's just been staggering.
David Brabham was right up on O'Connell's back deck just a minute ago. We saw in the overhead shot, he kind of fell back a little bit. Now he's closing in on him once again, just where he caught lap traffic.
Well, you know, one of the problems too is that because these cars push so much air, they push it so effectively, when you get close, it's like NASCAR where you're in a draft situation, you get all of the downforce taken away from your car. David probably dropped back deliberately to give himself clean air, A, to keep the car cool. He wants lots of fresh air flowing into the radiators, but B, to keep downforce on his car for safety.
Third and fourth, watching there, the two Panos machines, and just up ahead is the BMW of J.J. Lado. Now, this is the team BMW. This is Bill Oberlin, who still kind of hangs back in, well, actually, he's lost a spot. He's fallen back to sixth position as Butch Leitzinger is cutting around him.
Yeah, I think that Bill is really displaying a bit of a waiting game right now. Like, you watch him drive and see how smooth he is on the steering wheel. Here he is, the heaviest braking spot on the track. This is very tight, turning into the corner here. Now, smooth application, and right behind him, the second Dyson car. That is James Weaver. James is a tiger. He will be almost doing the exact opposite of Bill Oberlin right now, where Bill is trying to be smooth. I don't think James could spell the word smooth. He is on the gas, full throttle. He's hard on the brakes. He pitches and catches. Spectacular guy to watch.
Weaver right now running right behind Oberlin in seventh position. All this behind Oberlin's teammate J.J. Lado, who continues to lead the Grand Prix of Sonoma. We'll be back with more
It's
of the
payback time. Bosses are begging for good employees, and you could be worth more than you think. More money, a new car. You can name your price, but first, find out what you're worth and how to get it. Monday at 6:30 Eastern on CNBC's Business Center with Ron Insona and Sue Herrera.
In the Sonoma Valley, the California wine country with the American Le Mans Series and the fourth race of 8 of the 99 season at Sears Point Raceway. It is the Grand Prix of Sonoma. The lead car is the same one it's been since the drop of the green flag. It is the BMW, the white car, making the inside move there down toward turn number 11. J.J. Lado behind the wheel, Finnish driver, who started on the pole and to this point has led the entire distance. In fact, he's built up a kind of a massive advantage.
He has indeed. He's been really impressive because not only slicing through traffic with these, but he is as smooth as glass. In fact, he's coming up here to lap the Olive Garden Ferrari. This a couple of years ago, this would have been an unthinkable move to have caught his competition that quickly. But look at JJ just sitting in there, just working the wheel a little bit back and forth. He's going to set the Ferrari up for a pass under hard braking, I'll bet.
This is the 13th place car that he's trying to overtake, so that is how quickly he's moved up through this field.
It's an incredible pace. A lot of the guys in this race may play a bit of a waiting game, and there it's all over 13. They might depend on contact happening and a pace car coming out. That way they've conserved fuel, they've conserved tires, and so on and so on. But for that car, well, it's over. He's a lap down now.
Now, Wayne Taylor falling a lap down, or the Max Angelelli car rather, that was just overtaken by the leader Lado, well, that's been exaggerated by a couple of problems that he had out on the course. Let's take a look back and see what happened.
Yeah, this has not been a good weekend for Ferrari. They have been struggling with an engine that they all admit is way down on horsepower. They got another engine over to try and make up for some of that horsepower, no luck. Now there is the Ferrari version of a little off-course excursion. You can see he was able to keep the car on pavement. But watch now under hard braking. Look at this. Look at the wheel. tries to do that opposite lock as fast as he can. He just can't get it, and he stalled the car.
Why would he have to turn that wheel to the left so hard, so fast like that?
The back end is just sliding out. He wants to try and catch it as quickly as possible, hold it in a power slide, keep the car from spinning. If he holds a power slide going like that under hard braking, then at least he's not going to lose a great deal of time. He's only going to lose 1 or 2 seconds. But getting the car backwards, you don't always have the luxury of a clear track to rejoin. And sometimes, if you're in a rush, you pull out in front of traffic, bang, your race is over.
He's got the car in one piece, but again has fallen a lap down to the race leader, back in 13th position. Now we have some telemetry hooked up to the car and driver of this machine, which would be kind of an interesting look.
Yeah, now take a look at a couple of different spots on your screen here. Down low, you're going to see in the right-hand corner, engine RPM. And look at this, over 10,000 RPM a couple of times. And the speed immediately below that. These are coming off corners. 105 right there as he finishes that corner. Now up this quick straight, you're going to watch braking. See that the position sensor immediately above engine RPM on the right-hand side. You can watch as this goes from 0 to... sorry, we locked up on that. We'll try and get back and show you a little more of that later on, because this is very interesting, and it'll give you a greater appreciation of what it's like being in one of these cars, showing you G-forces, front, back, side to side, as well as speeds and engine RPM.
And we also have a monitor hooked up to record the driver's heart rate.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at how low it actually is.
It's really amazing that sometimes incidents happen in traffic that'll send your heart rate to what you think might be 200. And in some cases it probably is 200, but these guys are ultimate athletes.
This is the second place running car, Team Raffinelli. Winners earlier this season at Road Atlanta. Second race of the American Le Mans Series. This is Eric Comas on board, native of France, now living in Santa Barbara, California. His best finish in the Le Mans 24-hour race, a 6th place run in 1998. Talk about a busy guy. Now, he was the Japanese GT racing champion in 1998. Plus running in Europe and running here in the United States, so he gets a lot of frequent flyer miles in.
He does, and this car definitely wins the Sound Award. As I spoke of earlier, it is a V10 Judd, one of the Formula One engines that just screams around this track. And he right now is pulling ahead of that number 2 car, the Panos, that actually had closed up almost on his back bumper. Well, they don't have bumpers, but almost on his tailpipe. And here is why the 2 car dropped by.
Running inside one of the Vipers, entering high-speed turn 1.
Boy, that is the 91, the car that is leading GTS. You can see he got loose going into this 130-mile-an-hour turn 1. Potential disaster. This is a corner that has claimed a lot of big names.
Potential disaster for both drivers averted there. So O'Connell falling back to 4th position off of his teammates' rear deck as we ride with him now, coming down the hill through what they call the S's here at Sears Point.
That's right. This is not the USS Forrestal that we're on board right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is that car right there, the Panos.
Now, the driver sits so far back in this machine, and if you've not... Oh, there's one car up the top of the hill. In the Porsche 911.
Put the champion car around there.
Fired back up and headed back down the hill.
A bit of a
running in 15th position at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit of a frustrating time for the champion team. They're soldiering on with this old car, but it is overweight. It is just not competitive with the rest of these prototype cars. And Alan is a tremendous driver. Here's an idea of what happened. Now look at the amount of traffic around him. Oh, and he got tapped.
Jack Baldwin to his inside, little contact there.
Is that one of Jack Baldwin's NASCAR
I was going to say, you expect that in the NASCAR race here at Sears Point, but not with these kind of cars.
No, it happens very rarely, fortunately. And Alan is an extremely experienced driver. He is a Le Mans winner, very, very fast driver, and puts this car 100% all the time on the track.
Lost 1 position as a result of the spin. He's fallen from 15th back to 16th position. Watch this run up the hill. This is breathtaking right here.
Yeah, over the top of turn 2, it is blind here and then actually falls downhill. He'll stab the brakes a little bit here, set the car up smoothly on the power, because over the top of this hill, the car gets very light right there. It wants to get really sideways, heavy braking, drop a gear, turn it tight to the apex. Full throttle here. Now he's going to try and set up this BMW right ahead for a pass, probably under braking, going over the crest of this hill.
Hoping the BMW sees which way he's going to go.
Well, middle of the track for the BMW. That was really an unfortunate choice. So Alan's got to set up an exit pass now. He'll go on the inside, and he may even get by the next car up ahead because of the superior speed down this straight. He should get him under braking, I would think. No, I lied about that. He didn't.
Being a little careful, probably after his last excursion in traffic in that very corner.
Yeah, that's exactly where it happened. Now they start down this it's almost a misnomer to call this a straight. It's blindingly fast. They just have to go sweeping turns, left, right. Look at that. What a beautiful shot of that Porsche.
Trying to work his way by the second place running driver in the GT class in that Porsche. We are watching the Grand Prix of Sonoma for the American Le Mans Series, Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California. It is BMW out in front. You're watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.
The BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
Expansion makes me hungry.
You're in business.
We need a copier that sorts, staples, and collates, a fax that goes with our computer.
For success.
Scanner and a printer. Oh, we need a loan.
No, you don't.
I don't?
You need a Toshiba. One machine does it all.
Toshiba.
Collective technology that copies, prints, scans, faxes. With Toshiba, you're in business. For information and the dealer near you, call 1-800-GO-TOSHIBA.
Insightful comments, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
Le Mans 1977, the 45th 24 Hours, was another classic factory showdown. Porsche seeking its fourth triumph at the Sarthe versus Renault looking for its first win on home soil. The French cars set a quick early pace, Jean-Pierre Jabouille and Derek Bell leading the way, while the Porsches suffered badly. After just 4 hours, only one of 3 German cars remained, lying at the back of the field in 41st position after a fuel pump failure. Renault's domination looked so certain, local newspapers were heralding a Renault walkover. But that lone Porsche was not finished. Jackie Eakes, two-time defending Le Mans race winner, joined Jürgen Barth and American Hurley Haywood to set a blistering pace. When the engines of the Renault started to falter, the Porsche climbed back into contention. French hopes were dashed when the last factory Renault of Bell and Jabouille failed after leading for 17 hours. Porsche was back in front, still running flat out. Over the next 6 hours, they built a 17-lap lead over the field. But with an hour to go, Haywood brought the car to the pits with a blown piston. For 40 minutes, time stood still for the Porsche camp. Then with 10 minutes to go and Barth at the wheel, the leading Porsche went back onto the track, running on just 5 cylinders. He limped the final 2 laps as required to win by 11 laps, nearly 90 miles. The victory, the 3rd straight and 4th overall for Eakes, and the 1st for Barth and Haywood. Back with the American Le Mans Series at Sears Point. The lead car is in the pits. Here's Steve Evans.
Well, here is our first classic Le Mans pit stop. The first thing that happens is the driver has to click off the ignition. The engine's silent. J.J. Leto out of the car. In the car is Steve Sober. Now, the only thing you're allowed to do while fueling the car is change drivers. You cannot touch it. They did not take any tires. And by the way, down here, guys, they're a little short-handed in the BMW crew. They got 28 uniformed Nomex people.
That's all, just 28. And by the way, that is the GTS leader right behind, exiting the pits, along with Steve Sober. And because of the shuffle of pit stops, we saw Leto come down pit road, give up his car to his teammate. A number of the other front runners have stopped as well, except for the Raffinelli machine, which is still out in front. Let's go back to pit road to Steve Evans.
Well, now the other BMW cars have the 43 machine, and again, a driver change. Bill Auberling is out. Joachim Winkelhock of Ford Germany is in the machine. Let's see if they change tires. They're checking them. Yes, they are going to put some tires on this machine. This is the car I talked about at the top of the show, that after warm-ups, they changed a lot of the suspension geometry around. So that's probably why maybe not getting quite the tire wear of his teammate. Let's go down to Martin Snow. Martin?
Well, one lap longer out on the racetrack for the Zero car, the Riley and Scott with its Formula One V10 style engine, a driver change, they're taking fuel, and the tyres are ready. The question is, are they going to use them? The Riley and Scott, possibly not as easy on its tyres as the BMW. They're going longer on the fuel, but that may not be enough.
So watching work being done there as the driver swap is completed. Mimo Scattarella behind the wheel. Now, I talked with him on Friday, and he told me that I had to, if I was going to pronounce his name correctly, roll the R.
If you ever want to get pasta again, you have to say his name correctly.
Mimo Scattarella, 31-year-old from Milano, Italy. Climbing behind the wheel now. Already been to victory lane this season in the American Le Mans Series at Road Atlanta.
Now that's kind of interesting that we saw the one BMW did not take on tires, the second one did, and they are also taking on tires as well. So the drive that was put in by JJ Leto over the first part of the race, he obviously was extremely smooth on his tires. And when the engineers checked, they said, keep them on.
So as a result of not changing tires, the car that Leto started, that is now being driven by Steve Soper, that you're looking at there, goes back into the lead and builds what already was a pretty good advantage even more by spending less time on pit road. Now let's quickly cover why the change of tires thing is so important in these cars. The American Le Mans Series and Le Mans in general uses a little bit different pit rule. We'll talk about that in a second. First, let's go back to pit road. Martin Haven.
Well, there was a 10-second penalty. The Zero car was being held here by Chief Official Dick Martin. He is explaining now to the boss of the team, Gabriele Raffanelli, what the problem was. We could listen in on this, but it may get a little bit heated, folks.
So we'll wait just a second and find out what the follow-up there is, the reason for the penalty. There you see Dick Martin, the official, talking with Gabriele Raffanelli, the owner of that machine. And the car now being driven by Mimo Scattarella, now back on the racetrack, but he did not need a 10-second penalty to hold him up anymore.
Yeah, and the owner talks like me. He's using his hands going, please, he's pleading with the official. Why do you do this to me?
All right, let's get back to that discussion of the importance of the not changing tires and the pit rules that are used here in the American Le Mans Series that are a little bit different than folks might see at NASCAR or kart Indy cars.
Yeah, that's true. When you watch NASCAR, kart, or Formula One, you see this mad display of fuel and tires and people over the wall and everything going on at once. In this style of racing, it has to be very deliberate and very separate. They want to talk about the tires being put on separately to fuel. They want to keep safety absolutely maximum. Now here are the pit rules. Notice that the engine has to be turned off. No work on the car at all while that refueling is being done. Once the refueling's finished, then they can change the tires. So if you can avoid the tire stop, you save a lot of time.
A follow-up from the Team Raffanelli pit. Here's Martin Haven.
Guys, it's quite simple. The rules in a hot pit are very different from the rules in Europe, where you can stand in the pit lane ready for the car. And the American Le Mans Series rules are very clear. One man and one man only over the wall waiting for the car to arrive. He's the man with the stop board to show you where the pit is. Gabriele Raffanelli's team had 2 men over before the car came to a halt, and that is a 10-second penalty.
And so that has dropped him from second before the pit stops all the way back to 4th position after the shuffle under pit lane. So it is the BMW back out in front. Steve Soper now behind the wheel here at Sears Point, watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.
I don't know what makes my Italian family happier, talking or eating. But when we're doing both, we're in heaven. Every bowl of salad brings out unlimited family gossip. Every breadstick makes a very good point. Keep our glasses full and our forks busy, and we'll keep going. And that's how it goes when we're at the Olive Garden. It's what they call hospitaliano. We feel happy when you feel at home. In fact, I feel at home enough to tell you, Nina was not born with that nose. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Thank you.
The laws of physics are a harsh opponent. They push you, you push back. Sometimes, after 30 years of struggling, you win. And as everyone knows, at Porsche, we like to win. Introducing the Porsche 911. The laws of physics have just raised a big white flag.
You're ready to quit. Great. Now, which patch? With Nicoderm CQ, you step down your dose gradually, but you can't do that with Nicotrol. You can wear Nicoderm CQ 24 hours, so it's still with you when you wake up. You can't do that with Nicotrol. Can it be used by heavy and light smokers? Only CQ. And CQ was the patch most prescribed by doctors. Nicoderm CQ, the power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
The Mercury, the Comets. Two-time defending champion Houston hosts Phoenix in a rematch of last year's championship series. The WNBA on NBC next Saturday.
Sports car racing returns to NBC Sports next Sunday for the Rose City Grand Prix of Portland. So far this season, we've seen some great racing with the BMWs, Team Panos, and others. What'll happen when they visit the Pacific Northwest and the Portland International Raceway? It's the Rose City Grand Prix of Portland next Sunday, 4 Eastern, here on NBC. Here's the leaderboard at the Grand Prix of Sonoma at Sears Point Raceway. It is Team BMW, who's basically been out in front for the entire race except for a pit stop. Steve Soper behind the wheel. The two Panos machines running now second and fourth. Eric Bernard and Jan Magnussen sandwiching Mimo Scattarella in the third position. Now, the fourth place car of Magnussen, he's kind of been a story. He's had some troubles here that have dropped him back. He was up there racing for second spot with his teammate. He's now fallen all the way back to fourth.
Yeah, this has been a bit of a difficult day for them. After that dramatic success at Mosport, they had really looked forward to good things. They had done a lot of work on downforce at this track, but a few little things have happened. One of them has been the problem of getting through traffic. Now, here is what happened. All of a sudden, you've got a Ferrari sitting sideways in front of you, and not only staying sideways, but seemingly backing across your bow. You can't seem to get this red car to your way. Look on board. Where do you go? Well, try and turn around him. Just get your hand up, shake your fist out, and think, what are you doing? Trying to get in my way here.
Hello.
Got back on the track, no damage, but lost a lot of time because of it.
Falling back to fourth position, and he is, there you see the scoring there, up as high as third, dropped to sixth with the spin, now has worked his way back up to fourth again, and continuing to try and make up lost ground. Magnussen taking over that car after Johnny O'Connell started the machine in the early going. Now shifting back to the other divisions, the production-based classes in the event. GTS, that is the lead car in GTS. The Dodge Viper machine that started first in its class. Olivier Beretta started. David Donahue from Pennsylvania now behind the wheel. You can see the GTS class scoring there, upper left on the screen. The machine up a lap on the Chevy Corvette and his team car, the other Viper that is driven now by Tommy Archer.
Yeah, I had thought that my old friend Ron Fellows driving that Corvette was going to give the Viper team a real run today, but they have had a few problems today. This is a fairly new car, so you have to expect some teething problems. And unfortunately, this is one of the tracks, so they should have really shown up well. The Viper's horsepower is awesome, but on a track like this where you don't need all of that horsepower, hey, you got a chance.
Now here is the GT leader, the Alex Job racing machine on pit road. Let's get a report there.
Folks, this GT car has been staying out and staying out and staying out. They've already run a 1 hour 34-minute first stint in this 2 hour 45 race. There's no question in their minds that they could go the whole distance on just one fuel stop, whether we have a yellow period or not. But the unnerving part of it is for the 23-year-old behind the wheel. They said stay out until the fuel light doesn't just flicker, stay out until it stays on. Then let's hope there's enough in the tank left to get them back to the pits. Well, he's made it. Kurt Wagner from Los Angeles now behind the wheel as new tyres go on, and look how narrow those tyres are. A lot of you out there who have got street cars with more tyre than this. This car is now in the lead of the class, and with a massive fuel advantage, they're really looking very nicely set for a debut victory for this car in North America.
So Dirk Muller, the 23-year-old that Martin was talking about there, the young man feeling the pressure of staying out till the fuel pressure light started flashing. Now it is Los Angeles driver Kurt Wagner who takes over behind the wheel. Yeah. And they had a huge advantage before the stop of a full lap. They may have been able to make this pit stop and still hold the lead in their class.
I expect they will. I think this is really a remarkable case of fuel efficiency, and this is something that all of the teams work on, not just the GT class, but everybody, right up to the class, the leading BMW today. Every time they can save a tenth of a gallon of gas, they do it. And the electronic packages are becoming so sophisticated, the mileage is it's just astonishing. They're really incredible. What eventually happens too, of course, is that this all filters down to our street cars. So we all get better performance and increased mileage through what they're learning on the track right now.
Looking back to the second place machine in the GT class, it is one of the BMW machines. The car started by Boris Said. Hans Stuck, the veteran German, now behind the wheel.
Yeah, look up in the mirror at the top of your screen. You can see the stars on his helmet. That is Stucky behind the wheel. He's going around the track, and he frequently likes to get sideways. This is a driver who is, I don't know, maybe he's displaced. He should have been a mud racer or a sprint race, something like this, because he has just magical car control. He is a world-class driver, a Le Mans winner. He has driven Formula One cars. He has driven everything and driven it fast.
Hans Stuck, 48-year-old German native, has homes both overseas and in Florida now. Two-time Le Mans winner, 1986 and 87. Three-time Sebring 12-hour winner, 86, 88, and 93. A factory driver for Porsche for many years until parting company with them a year ago. Now on the BMW roster and teamed up with Boris Said for the American Le Mans Series.
You know what? In fact, we got some erroneous information. He is a four-time winner because the fourth and last time was with some really brilliant driver that I hesitate to mention his name.
Well, then I won't mention it either, just to give you the satisfaction.
Geez, all right.
There's the GT class leaderboard up in the upper left of the screen. As they come across the start-finish line, the transponders, the electronic scoring on the car register, and that is the very latest up-to-date information that you see in class. The Grand Prix of Sonoma, Sears Point Raceway in California for the American Le Mans Series on NBC. Back in a minute.
Should be on the tail of the two car. The one car is on the tail.
A baby monitor! Got it. You guys! You didn't! You did! And guess what? We got you a matching set!
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Thank you.
The Porsche Boxster. There really is no substitute.
What are you waiting for? Chateau Elan, I-85 at exit 48, just 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
Hot jobs. Finance. Buy. Sell. You're fired. Who's the man?
Action! Where can you find your dream job? Hotjobs.com. Thousands of hot jobs at top companies like AOL, SkyTel, and the CIA. So you'll find your perfect job.
Bingo.
Oh, yeah. Hotjobs.com.
The American Le Mans Series on NBC from the gorgeous Sonoma Valley in California's wine country. The Grand Prix of Sonoma under caution right now as we look out at the absolutely gorgeous weather, beautiful landscaping. What a great setting for a racetrack.
There just couldn't be anything better. We've been blessed with this kind of weather now for 3 straight days, and it's perfect for the drivers. Nice and cool. The engines get lots of horsepower. The track is warm because the sun's on it. Beautiful.
Now, that is the pace car in front of the field. Full course caution. Here's why.
Coming down out of this very, very fast carousel corner, watches it, gets onto the straight, 130 miles an hour. The car number 24 is spinning sideways, and suddenly you're at full throttle trying desperately to take evasive action. Nowhere to go, and all devil goes loose.
Oh,
slams the wall across the track. Look at the BMW. That was Alex Caffey riding that Olive Garden Ferrari to its destruction. Now here is on board right up front, and watch the hit. Sorry, not on board, I mean out in front of this car. You can see him slamming the barrier.
Big
look at the BMW
ricochet.
take great evasive action.
Now
you want to look and see, you really want to see what's going to scare you. Well, here you are. Here is the view, the BMW coming down the hill. There's the Ferrari right in front of you. Through the carousel, you're feeding power on. Watch Caffey up ahead. He tries to get over the side to miss that car, and bam! Oh, where do you go?
Wow. Great piece of driving there. Alex Caffey into the outside wall, avoiding another car that had spun in front of him, bringing out the pace car and the first full course caution of this race. Now, all of the top cars have made pit stops, both just before, while we were away in the break, and during the caution flag. Let's get updates on strategy and what's happened on pit road. First, here's Steve Evans.
Well, let's talk about the amazing performance of the BMW LMR. They have made their second stop. This time they got fuel naturally. This time, though, they got tires. They didn't on the first stop. And this time they put J.J. Leto back in the car. Steve Soper is out. Leto will take it to the finish. Now, it's conceivable with the pace car out that car, the 42 car, will not have to pit again for fuel. They're getting amazing mileage. But with the lead they've got, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it just for safety. Now let's talk about the GTS cars. The 91 Viper, they have pitted, they got tires, fuel, put David Brabham in the car. He'll take it to the finish. They will have to stop one more time for at least a splash. Let's go down to Martin.
Well, the story in the GT class is very much set as it was before the yellow flag. They had only expected to stop the leading Porsche once, and they will not stop it again. The BMWs have been saved essentially by this yellow flag. There was a question that they may have needed a quick splash and dash in the closing few minutes, but now they feel that they won't. Calculations, however, as we see so often in motor racing, can go awry, but at the moment it looks as though the GT class is set to race to the flag.
Now, the caution flag and the shuffle in the field because of the pit stops has left us just a couple of cars basically contending for the win as we look at the rundown. It is the BMW that has led most of the way on top. J.J. Leto now back behind the wheel of the machine with David Brabham second in the Panoz Ford. Those top two cars, the two that are on the lead lap, and they'll basically be just about nose to tail, save for some lap traffic when we drop the green flag and go back at it.
They should be very close, and I think this really sets up a great finish. I wonder if Panoz is playing some sort of a mind game here, saying they have to stop again. I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll have to find out here. Plenty of racing still to go as you see the time remaining in the event. 17th spot, first of the Vipers, Olivier Barreto back behind the wheel. That is the leader in GTS, up by one lap on Ron Fellows in the Corvette. And the GT leader is Kurt Wagner in the Porsche 911 in the same lap with Hans Stuck, the veteran German in the BMW, who will give him great pursuit over these final laps.
Yeah,
if
he
the
will.
fuel mileage thing that Martin and Steve were talking about a minute ago has kind of been lifted off their shoulders.
Well, that had to be a huge worry because the advantage that Porsche got by making their stop beyond the halfway mark, that almost is a lock-in for the title right there. But the combination of this yellow flag now allowing them to fill up their tanks, putting Stuckey back in the car, I think this is going to be a great battle now.
The Porsche, remember, making a one-stop race. We covered that story a couple of minutes ago, choosing to go the distance today on just one visit to pit road for fuel. So they're getting ready to form the field up for the restart. In this particular type of racing, when they have a situation on course where they need to get the pace car out, they put the pace car out, regardless of where he comes out in the field, and then cycle the machines back past the pace car around until the leader is the first man behind the safety machine. That is what is happening now. So once the cars that have been cycled past the safety car catch up, the pace car will hit pit road and we'll go back at it again.
Yeah, and it can be immensely frustrating for some drivers because you can work to almost lap a car. And when the pace car comes out, if he gets into the wrong place, you suddenly lose all that gap. That car is able to re-go around and almost join onto the tail of your car after all your hard work goes to the devil. But on the other hand, it can work the exact opposite way and you can lose a lap just as quickly. So
while the pace car is still in front of the field, let's run back down to pit road and Steve Evans. Steve?
I got good news for the Dodge Viper fans. Apparently the yellow was out long enough. When they pitted, they had enough still in the tank. They will not have to stop again. David Donahue will take it on home without any more stops. As if they needed any more brakes. The thing is dominant now, but that's a good news there.
That is very good news for Donahue, of course, the son of Mark Donahue, the great driver over many years in sports car racing here in America. Now, this race today is kind of capping a week-long series of activities here in the San Francisco area. We're just about 40 miles north of downtown San Francisco here in Sonoma. And it started up on Wednesday in downtown near the Golden Gate Bridge. See the bridge in the background? The music reminiscent, actually it is the music from the streets of San Francisco. the car chases in that show up and down the hills. We had our own with race cars.
Yeah, and I want you to know that when I win the lottery, not if, but when I win it, I am going to have this GT1 Porsche on the street as my personal car. And I know that my wife will probably tear the bodywork off when she slams a curb, and I'll have to severely chastise her, but I want to own one anyway.
You see the Celine Mustang along with one of the GT Porsches and the Porsche 911 prototype car making their way through traffic to Ghirardelli Square. Imagine what the folks sitting there in San Francisco, busy traffic thought when these race cars came parading by. It was great. That was on Wednesday, all part of the build-up to today's Grand Prix of Sonoma. Now, earlier in the broadcast, we talked about some storylines and things we'd be watching throughout the afternoon. Let's go back and refresh our minds on some of those and how they've turned out to this point in the event.
Michelin tires, as we thought, are leading all of the classes. They are long-lasting tires in that they're able to maintain a very high performance profile throughout the entire race. This is a tremendous advantage. Fuel consumption, exactly as we thought. Ferrari engines, well, you can see they really haven't been in the hunt today. These guys are working very hard with what is obviously an underpowered motor. GTS class, the Corvette battle, really didn't materialize to go up against the Vipers. Now they're hanging strong, but they're not actually able to challenge at this point. For them to pull out a win, they would have to depend on some sort of a break by the Viper. The GT class, thanks to this yellow flag, I think is going to come down to be the barn burner, because Hans Stuck, one of the best in the world, is in that BMW, not too far behind that brand new Porsche. So this could be a great battle down to the flag.
And again, with the field bunched up behind the pace car, Stuck is going to have, let's see, in traffic just 2 cars between himself and the machine that he is trying to chase for that GT class lead. So that's going to be a lot of fun, as will the overall race lead up in front, with the BMW now having the Panos machine separated from him now by just 2 lap cars. Let's get more on the tire story down on pit road with Steve Evans. Steve?
A couple of good reasons that Michelin is so strong here. One, they brought 1,600 tires from France. 81 different compounds and build characteristics depending on the type of car. One works better on a Porsche, another works better on a Ferrari, so on and so forth. And that's not where it stops. Every Michelin team has their own tire engineer assigned to them. He or she doesn't bounce back and forth between teams, exclusively with your team if you're on Michelin tires. And as Bill said, well, they are dominating all 3 categories.
Has been a good day for that particular brand here at Sears Point today. There is the flagman, Dennis Paul, showing the 1 to go signal to the field. That means the next lap by, the pace car will pull off and the green flag will go back out over the course, and we will resume competition here with the aforementioned chases. The BMW and Panos now being driven by J.J. Lato and David Brabham going at it for the race lead.
Yeah, does this look like fun too? Lato has been as smooth as glass. He's got a full gas tank. He is ready to go for it. Great driver, just a tremendous talent, but Brabham has got all that torque sitting underneath the Panos' hood. That will help him get by those 2 cars between them immediately. So as soon as he can, he is going to lay on the pedal and try and close on the tail of this car. This is his best shot of the whole race.
With he'll have, what, 4 laps maybe before they start to catch some of the slower cars again? 4 laps of clear track? Brabham will?
I expect they will. They should get quite a good long run, and that they won't have to worry about looking up ahead. Brabham has got the car under him that he wants, and he was so fast with it Mosport and so fast here through the testing and qualifying this week. This is just a perfect setup for them. Like I say, even the weather is cooperating. It couldn't be fabulous.
Looking back through the field a little bit, in the line of traffic to find the 3rd place car, the second of the Panos Ford machines that Johnny O'Connell is behind the wheel now. They're set back a little bit by making a pit stop just before the caution flag came out, and some off-track excursions that we showed you earlier in the event. They're going to be set back even further on the restart because they'll have to come down pit road for a stop-and-go penalty. Ran over an air hose leaving the pits that last time. Can't make the stop-and-go under the caution. They will have to do it under the green flag once the field goes back at full speed racing. Now dropping back to 4th place, here's the second of the BMW cars. That is Bill Oberlin behind the wheel. And he is running 1 lap down to the race leaders, so he's got some ground to make up as well. But again, solidly in 4th place. Earlier this weekend, a crash in practice damaged that machine. They did not get as much practice time as Bill would have liked, and the other drivers as well, but they're not doing too bad as far as they're concerned. Now here's a car that's had some troubles in the last several moments. Just before we got the caution flag, see that left front fender there on the Raffinelli machine. Mimo Scattarella he had a problem down the very fast turn number 10 section of the course.
He did. It looked like he cut down a tire. The tire exploded, just literally destroyed the left front fender, and that will seriously affect the downforce in his car. I don't think he will be able to challenge at all.
Back in 5th position, 1 lap down to the race leader. So you see the field beginning to bunch up now. Cars picking up the pace as the pace car heads to the opening of pit road. He will make the turn off the course, and we will get back underway here with our Grand Prix of Sonoma momentarily. Pace car now makes the right-hand turn. Green flag back in the air, and we are back racing at full speed.
Lato jumped on it as soon as he could, but look at the panos. He is using the power to try and get by these 2 Porsches as fast as possible and get clear. There he is. He made it by them both, so now there is 1 and 2 right there. That is the small separation. Brabham will really try and push hard to get up on the BMW's tail now.
He's got to do it in the first 4 or 5 laps after this restart while he's got clear race traffic. After 4 or 5 laps, they'll begin to catch some of the slower cars again at the tail end of the field. And we saw Brabham earlier in the race when he was racing, at that point, Eric Comas in the Raffinelli. He would catch him on speed, then run up on traffic in the wrong spot and lose everything he'd gained all over again.
So many times he had such a frustrating run. Now, for those viewers who are new to this type of racing, you see this long tray sticking out in front of that black Panos car. That is to help go downforce on the car. It just loads up with air, helps push the nose of the car down. And we've been watching this car throughout practice and qualifying. The entry speeds into corners has been unbelievable.
Watching Bill Oberlin in 5th place in the BMW. The Raffinelli machine, Mimo Scattarella, has gotten around him on the restart. There you see them in traffic. Scattarella on the left. And now up ahead of Oberlin here as they come down the hill toward the S's.
Yeah, and I think this is just Bill playing a very smart game at this point. Scattarella has got to try and push. He knows he's got damaged goods there. Oberlin wants to be really careful going down here on the start when all of the cars are bunched up. Doesn't want to take a chance of damaging.
Looking at the data in the upper left-hand corner, seeing the rundown of the field overall.
Wow. Look at the traffic. Smoke off the back of the car. Almost ran into the back of that Porsche there. Look at Oberlin. He's being very cautious at this point. Good for you, Bill.
Trying to pick their way through some of the slower machines. The closing differential, particularly in this part of the course, is so great. They might be doing, what, 40, 50 miles an hour faster than some of those GT cars.
They would. Some of the prototype cars will be approaching turn 1 easily at 160 mile an hour average. Just blindingly fast. The drivers of the small cars will be concentrating on the corner. Look at the speeds right here. Now there's differential right there. You can see this knifing through traffic. And you'll see the prototype cars will close up very quickly under braking. The top speeds are also a little bit different with the acceleration off the corners. Dramatic difference. Probably 650, 700 horsepower in a car that weighs about half what your street car does. These weigh around 2,000 pounds. You can just imagine the acceleration is phenomenal, and the braking is even greater.
This is a race for 4th and 5th position. Up ahead it is Mimo Scattarella, 31-year-old from Milano, Italy. Closely pursued by California's Bill Oberlin. Now here's one of the GT machines, 3rd place runner in the division on pit road. That is Darren Law, who has brought the car in with an apparent problem. He wouldn't be stopping just after the restart with something, a routine stop, so something's gone wrong there for that machine while running 3rd in class, and that's going to cost him heavily.
Now here's an idea. We're talking about braking distances and all. Oh, look at smoke out the back of that car. I wonder if that's maybe smoking the left front brake. This is a track, as I said earlier, it really benefits downforce. You can take a car like the Zero car that you see leading right there, the blue and white, that has got that wonderful V10 Judd engine. You see it pulling ahead on the straight, but because he will have lost downforce, the overall package at this track will not be nearly as good.
And the 3rd and 4th cars in the frame there, the white and blue machine right there, that is for position, those 2 cars. It is the number 20 machine of Butch Leitzinger of Pennsylvania. He is running in 6th. Right behind him, one of the privateer BMW teams, the Pedro Lamy machine.
Yes, Pedro Lamy, also a very, very fast driver from Europe.
Yeah, he is in 7th spot, and again, this all for position here, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th spots.
Tremendous bunching up at the end of the track. Look at the Corvette right there trying to stay out of the way. Oberlin again being very cautious. Look at the smoke off that car.
Scattarella off the course.
Yeah, he is losing all kinds of downforce off the front end. That is the left front tire locking up. The car is not able to stop as quickly as it was, so it tends to lock. The right front still has a good loading on that. He's just going to burn up his tire. He will blow the tire if he keeps doing that.
Trying to hustle the car, as they say in racing language, but it does not work when you don't have all that downforce on the front end. Here's another look.
Now watch him come into this corner. He's getting it as deep as possible. As the tires locked up, the car won't turn, effectively blocks the other car out of the picture and goes onto the gravel. He really should make a stop and get a new nose on that. He's risking the potential of damaging this car so badly he will miss a race.
Here's another angle on it from overhead and behind.
Straight line. Boy, when the front wheels are locked, this is what they developed ABS for in your street cars. When your front wheels are locked, you can't turn the car. You just can't steer it. You're a passenger at that point.
So Scattarella has fallen from 3rd position back to 6th right now after that off-course excursion. BMW continues to lead. You're watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.
And now, if you will please turn to page 17.
You're in business to make things happen without mistakes.
I don't have a page 17.
What?
I don't have a 17. No 17.
Oh, well,
I've got 4 17s.
I got a bunch of 3s.
Toshiba copiers never let you down. From brilliant color copies to network connectivity and perfect collation. With Toshiba, you're in business.
Should have used the Toshiba.
For information and the dealer near you, call 1-800-GO-TOSHIBA.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
The BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
Monday, 9, 8 Central, an additional night of Law and Order. The case of a body in a van with a Law and Order twist.
Were you watching him the night he disappeared?
It all happened 30 years ago. TV Guide calls this episode brilliant.
I suppose you're going to say you didn't do it.
Law and Order, now 2 times a week, Mondays and Wednesdays.
Look.
For Le Mans in 1982, new regulations meant the beginning of the Group C era. Porsche tested its 956 model secretly, then christened their new Charger ready for action. 3 of the sleek new prototypes were the talk of the paddock at the Sarth. While Porsche led the first lap, it was not until the 4-hour mark that the men from Stuttgart put a stranglehold on the race. Once out front, it was all Porsche for the next 20 hours. From the 10-hour mark, the factory 956s ran regularly in the top 2 spots and won a stunning 1-2-3 sweep. In the end, it was the team of Le Mans legends Jackie Eakes and Derek Bell who took their 6th and 3rd wins respectively, ahead of Jochen Mass and Vern Schuppan, and Americans Al Holbert and Hurley Haywood teamed with Jürgen Barth. So complete was the Stuttgart manufacturer's domination, they claimed victory in each of that year's 5 classes. Back at Sears Point Raceway in the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Sonoma, and the caution flag is out again. Well, that's not a very well parked car.
No, I've seen worse than that in downtown traffic, but that's a pretty frightening place to be stopped because the speed through here is normally so quick. Here is what happened. Watch as he comes through. You can see something has gone badly wrong with the car. The rear end is locked up. He is spinning in his own oil at this point.
Lost an engine or something that has put a lot of oil out, because he has absolutely no control there, and that is definitely oil smoke. He's not doing all that with locked up tires.
Boy, how frightening for even the cars following, because they would have had 0 visibility for a few moments.
The Mark Simo, Peter Cunningham, BMW M3.
Look at the trail of oil.
There you go, the trail out from behind the car. Let's get more on the story. Martin Haven on pit road.
Yeah, Mark Simo down here in the BMW pit. Mark, any indications earlier on that the car was running into problems?
Well, the car was smoking the whole race. It was unfortunate because it was working out pretty good. We just got into third position, and I guess it just didn't have enough oil to finish the job. But the BMW ran great all day, and it's just unfortunate that we didn't have about 16 more minutes worth of oil.
So that's the story there. As you see the car sitting sideways across the front straightaway, the top speed through that part of the racetrack, the prototype cars probably come through there at better than 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So not a good place to be sitting in a screen of smoke. Fortunately, everybody got the word from their teams and the various spotters that they have around the racetrack in contact with the driver by radio.
That's right. It's one of the real advantages of radios, and you can see a big pool of oil right below the car. Look at the trail out the back. Really made a mess. They will have to clear this up because this is a real safety hazard as you enter this ultra-fast turn one.
There is the C5R Corvette, brand new for $19.99 as far as racing is concerned. In order to race it on the racetrack, there has to be a street version of it. General Motors made one. Steve Evans has a look for us at the brand new Vette.
When General Motors embarked on this very ambitious Le Mans program with the Corvette, they wanted the race car, the C5R, to be as production-based as possible. But race cars need great big tires and great big brakes. The car needed to be 3 inches wider. The French rules maker said, "Oh, really, monsieur, do you have a street car 3 inches wider?" Well, of course they didn't. They do now, and you're the first to ever see it outside of Chevrolet engineering. This one-off hand-built Corvette. The 3 inches is right in here. They added this little whip here, more downforce, legal on the race car, and up front. But the only difference you'll find from a showroom car is all of this stuffing in the hood. Now understand, this is all carbon fibers, not fiberglass. Black sand windows, full racing interior, full racing drivetrain. I would kill to own this car. I would fly in and pay just to drive it around a test track. None of that's going to happen. I'll probably never even see it again. But it tells you the commitment that Chevrolet has made to this program. Unbelievable.
Wow. Well, will I win the lottery? Maybe that too.
There you go. Now that is the C5R street version in existence, the one and only. And there you see the racing version of it with Ron Fellows behind the wheel. They have removed the number 6 car, the Peter Cunningham machine, from the racetrack, but a lot of oil dry to put down and sweep up, so we'll take a break. And we'll come back with more of our coverage in just a moment. The Grand Prix of Sonoma, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax. We return after these words from our local stations.
They're the hands of safety reaching through the smoke.
What a mess!
You're gonna be fine. From John Wells, executive producer of ER.
Keys! I love this job.
Third Watch, coming to NBC Sundays this fall.
Sonoma and the American Le Mans Series visiting the California wine country today. Beautiful little town here in the Bay Area, just north of the Bay Area in California, home of Sears Point Raceway, where right now the Grand Prix of Sonoma is under the caution flag. Cleanup continues. We saw the big puddle of oil earlier that was dumped by the Peter Cunningham machine. When it broke, something happened to it, so going to be a little work done on that before we'll be able to go back under racing. Right now, we've got a phenomenal battle for the win shaping up in the GT class between Porsche and BMW, one of the things we've talked about right since the very top of our broadcast. Well, after the Porsche got out on its one fuel stop strategy, the BMW kind of got a break by these couple of caution flags that have come out and taken the gas mileage out of the equation.
It couldn't have happened at a better time for spectators to see this, because this is perfect. Out Stuck's windshield, that car right there, right in front of him, that's his competition. Now here's something to think about. Hans Stuck for years was associated with the name Porsche. They were almost synonymous. A couple of years ago, he was ceremoniously let go by Porsche. So do you not think that gives him just a little bit more incentive to get by that car?
Licking his chops right now.
How thick is your bumper, Hans?
There you go. Kurt Wagner leading Hans Stuck as we get down to the final moments of this race. Let's get more on this duel between these two makes from pit road. Here's Martin Haven.
Well, down in pit road, the BMW driver of that number 9 car, who probably has the toughest job, Boris Said, to stand and watch Hans Stuck follow the new Porsche, or will he pass him?
It's not too tough to watch. I mean, he's in an M3, which is the ultimate driving machine, and it's Hans Stuck. I mean, he's the ultimate driver, so I put my dollar on Hans. Money's in the bank.
There you go, guys. No question here.
The money's in the bank. Boy, now is that advertising talking there? Well, we just watched the Ultimate Driving Machine have a electrical problem out front, Boris, because it looked like the crankshaft knocked the starter motor off the block. But I hope it doesn't happen to Hans, because I want to see this battle.
Now, look at this situation right here where they're putting down all the oil dry. See the cars swerving around where the safety workers are. They will have to drive right through the heart of that at full speed when the pace car pulls off and they go steaming into turn 1. Bill, we put you back behind the wheel. What are you thinking?
Well, you know, if I'm in Hans Stuck's position, I'm going to think the guy ahead is not going to be as brave as me, and knowing Hans, he probably won't be as brave as him. I'm going to try and make the pass right through the oil, do something unexpected, take advantage of it.
All right, what we're going to do here is take a break while we are waiting the cleanup to be finished, and this will be our last break, so we'll run you right through the finish and follow this great race for the win in the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Back in just a minute, you're watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.
The Gravity Games, this fall on NBC.
The laws of physics are a harsh opponent. They push you, you push back. Sometimes, after 30 years of struggling, you win. And as everyone knows, at Porsche, we like to win. Introducing the Porsche 911. The laws of physics have just raised a big white flag.
This is my grandpa Giovanni. Nobody tells stories like he does. Give him good food and good people, he'll charm you all night. That's how it was last night at the Olive Garden, where everything feels more like family, more Italian. Then, out came the seafood portofino. It was perfect. Italian seafood and wine sauce with scallops and mussels, shrimp and linguine, plus all the salad and breadsticks you want for $9.95. What a feast it was for all of us. And our ears, too.
You're beautiful.
The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
What are you waiting for? Chateau Elan, I-85 at exit 48, just 30 minutes north of Atlanta.
The Gravity Games, coming to NBC.
Sports car racing returns to NBC Sports next Sunday for the Rose City Grand Prix of Portland. So far this season, some great racing with the BMWs, Team Panos, and others. What'll happen when they visit the Pacific Northwest and the fast Portland International Raceway? It's the Rose City Grand Prix of Portland next Sunday, 4 Eastern on NBC. We are finishing up the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Here is the leaderboard. J.J. Leto in BMW's top car basically has been out in front for most of the race. He only gave up the lead for a brief time for pit stops. David Brabham and the Panos on the same lap trying to chase him in these final moments. Johnny O'Connell a lap down in 3rd position. Bill Oberlin of the BMW is 4th. Butch Leitzinger is in 5th position in the car he co-shares with series point leader Elliott Forbes Robinson.
Yeah, and once again, you look at the diversity and how equal this series really has become, because you have a V12 is leading a V8. The V10 has dropped a bit out today in that the Raffinelli car because of their tire problems, but very competitive for a lot of different chassis, a lot of different engine manufacturers, different engine sizes, and wonderful. And you look at the flags, just the drivers that are competing here. This is a true World Endurance Championship.
Driver that is leading the race, originally from Finland, now lives in Monaco. The man who is chasing him in the moment is from Bray, England, the 2nd place driver. And then you've got
and originally from Australia, right?
Yep. 3rd position, you've got an American, Johnny O'Connell, in the other Panos, and following him, driver from California, Bill Oberlin, and the 5th place drivers from Pennsylvania, and that is Butch Leitzinger. And again, some of those drivers have co-drivers from overseas as well. Storyline of this race, a race summary. There you see J.J. Leto is the leader. We have had 2 caution flags. That's kind of unusual in this form of racing to have 2 full course cautions in an event of this duration.
Yeah, and I think Leto has shown, or in fact the entire team has shown 3 major strengths. They have had outstanding fuel economy.
Yep.
They have had outstanding tire wear with their Michelin tires. And of course, outstanding driving. Both he and his teammate have done perfect jobs today. We haven't seen them get a wheel off the track, no major slides. It has really been good planning by everyone involved.
Now, we've been talking about this great race for the GT class win that we expect will just be a barn burner when the pace car does pull off. We heard the BMW side. Let's go get the Porsche side of the story. Back to pit road.
Well, here in the Alex Job Racing pit, there are 38 people chewing their fingernails to the knuckle. Alex, this is going to be a tough last 7 or 8 minutes.
Yes, it is. You know, it's a race down to the finish between the 23 car, our 23 car, and the 9 BMW. We had a 20-some second lead before that first caution, and we lost all that, and now we're, you know, bumper to bumper, so it's going to be very interesting.
Now, you've had a couple of laps of quiet time to talk to Court on the radio. Is he confident?
Yeah, he's confident, and we're confident, and we're ready to get this thing over and get to the checkered flag and get on the top of the podium.
There you go, fighting talk at BMW, but they're not giving this one up.
Cord Wagner, an interesting character. He's got a degree in in philosophy and psychology. Got my physiology worked in there somewhere. From the University of Southern California.
Maybe that's going to help.
He's a marathoner and a triathlete as well, in addition to his racing.
So with the psychological degree, he's going to be saying, now, Hans, why would you want to try that? Are you sure you want to try this?
Now, this is a timed race, so there are 5 minutes and 20 seconds left. Once we get within a lap of that clock running out, the white flag will come out. When the leader comes back around, they'll take the checkered flag and the event is over. It doesn't run a specified number of laps like other forms of racing do. Here's the GTS leader. Haven't seen him in a little while, but that is the Dodge Viper. Olivier Beretta and David Donahue sharing the driving duties behind that machine today. Beretta, who started the car, is back behind the wheel of the machine, and he has got the GTS class pretty well in hand.
Yeah, and once again, just like Mosport, another flawless performance by this team. This car is incredibly strong, very well engineered. Just everybody's desire. This may even replace Corvette as, quote, America's sports car, because it's a real wonderful looking car.
He is nearly a full lap ahead of the Corvette. The Corvette is the next car in front of him in the line. So if you were to pass him, he'd put him a lap down. The Corvette basically would have to make up 2.51 of 2.52 miles to catch him.
I don't think he's going to take a chance on passing him, just in case one of those incidental contacts took place and put him off the track. So he'll just sit on the back end and watch the Corvette for the next few minutes.
Ron Fellows, we mentioned this is only the 3rd race of the year for that Corvette. Don't think he's been sitting idly by. He leaves here today, goes to Watkins Glen, New York, to test the NASCAR Winston Cup machine, then goes back to test the Corvette in Indiana, then goes to test the Winston Cup car again, then goes to race at Portland next Sunday, driving one of the prototype machines before he gets back behind the wheel of the Corvette again. So he has got his work cut out for him away from this racetrack over the next week before we get to Portland next Sunday. Now, 5 minutes left in this race and counting in this event. So the clock is winding down here, and we are getting set to go back green this next time by. Focus will again on the GT race between the Porsche and the BMW. Cord Wagner behind the wheel of the Porsche 911, and the BMW with Hans Stuck, the German veteran, behind the wheel. Those drivers running for 22nd and 23rd position overall, but again, they're nose to tail on the racetrack, and they are just going to hammer it out over these final laps.
Yeah, they will. You know, I don't care how confident Cord is or what sort of a psychological degree he's got. He would love to have seen that crew trying to create the oil spill take their time, because to finish and win this, it's it.
Now, because the time continues to wind away while the cleanup is gone, what has been set up is a one-lap sprint to the finish. Yippee. They are going to get the green and the white flags at the same time, run through all that oil drive that has caused this long delay. First one back wins.
Okay. Wow, there's going to be a lot of smoke and dust on the horizon as a whole bunch of cars go through this area before Stuck and the Porsche can come up here. There's the pace car off.
Green flag and white flag in the last lap of the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Leto is gone in the BMW. Can the Patos catch him? And we look back now for the race in GT between the Porsche and the BMW. Hans Stuck trying to catch and get around Cord Wagner.
Well, the BMW is staying well ahead of the Patos right now. Now, let's just keep an eye back here. We're looking back further in the pack.
Here they come up the hill. There they are, working their way around. Did he get him?
I'm not sure.
He got him.
He did get him.
He got him on the restart. Hans Stuck got by Kurt Wagner on the restart. Now he's got to hold him off in all that traffic. Less than a lap to go.
Unbelievable. This Porsche had a huge lead. We thought they were just going to walk home to the finish, and Stuckey has pulled out some magic. Now you're going to see how wide he can make this car. Meanwhile, way up in the lead, this is J.J. Leto. Look at the stretch he's pulling out here. He is gone.
He is trying to run away from David Bradley if he can and secure the win. While behind him, they continue to fight for that GT class honor. Down the hill through the S's for the final time. There's the car that started on the pole, has led all but a couple of laps in this event. He gave it up only for pit stops. J.J. Leto working his way through the final corners now, turn 11, the short sprint up through the gears to the start-finish line, and here comes your winner in the Grand Prix of Sonoma. It is BMW in victory lane. J.J. Leto scores the victory at Sonoma this afternoon.
It doesn't get any more impressive than that. That was a perfect performance, and now you're going to probably see the GTS Viper come through again, totally unchallenged. But
here comes the race for the GT class win in all that heavy traffic. It is Kurt Wagner trying to get up the inside of Hans Stuck if he can. Hard on the brakes into the final corner.
Can't tell. I don't think so.
Don't think he got him. Off the corner, they come down to the start-finish line. The checkered flag waving for these cars. The Hans Stuck making the pass on the restart at the green and white flags, who will come away with the GT class victory. Wow, fabulous last lap with Stuck getting by Wagner for the win.
Unbelievable. Well, that is the master now. Stuckey's a guy who loves driving in the rain. He loves the dark, and there's the GTS winner. Also a perfect performance by Olivier Beretta.
And the GTS class victory to the Dodge Viper over the Corvette. So the Grand Prix of Sonoma is over. J.J. Leto is the winner. We'll be back in a moment to hear from our winners. First, we'll go to New York and Ahmad Rashad at the Sun America Sports Desk right after these messages.
You never met my big Italian family, but they love you already. So tonight, they'll share with you a fresh salad this big, then pass around the baby pictures. They'll share baskets of soft garlic breadsticks, then pass around the baby. What they have, you can have. And that's how the Olive Garden feels. They call it Hospitaliano, which means everything of ours is yours. That's my cousin. She wants to share your dessert. The Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
The BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
Expansion makes me hungry.
You're in business.
We need a copier that sorts, staples, and collates, a fax that goes with our computer.
For success.
Scanner and a printer. Oh, we need a loan.
No, you don't.
I don't?
You need a Toshiba. One machine does it all.
Toshiba.
Collective technology that copies, prints, scans, faxes. With Toshiba, you're in business. For information and the dealer near you, call 1-800-GO-TOSHIBA.
The American Le Mans Series continues with the Rose City Grand Prix, Portland, next Sunday at 4 Eastern on NBC. This is the Sun America NBC Sports Desk. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our New York studio and the Sun America Sports Desk. We will send you back to Sears Point, California in a moment. But first, the kart series was in Michigan for the US 500. Italian racer Max Pappas, racing for Team Rahal, took the lead with 167 laps to go. He led most of the way until the final lap when he ran out of gas and Brazil's Tony Kanaan passed and held off Juan Montoya of Colombia to capture the checkered flag. This is Kanaan's first kart victory. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series was at the Pocono Raceway for the Pennsylvania 500. Bobby Labonte won his third race in 7 starts. Former Washington Redskins coach Joe Gibbs is the Labonte car owner. Winston Cup points leader Dale Jarrett finished in 2nd. Mark Martin was 3rd. Turning to a busy afternoon in Major League Baseball, starting with a showdown of the top 2 teams in the American League, the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees. A pretty good outing by Roger Clemens today, wearing his son's Little League uniform number 22. He worked 7 innings, giving up 1 run on 5 hits with 6 strikeouts. Bottom of the 4th, Indians pitcher Bartolo Colon keeping the Yankees hitless to this point, but Derek Jeter sends this pitch over the right field wall for his 18th homer of the year. Yanks up 1-0. Bottom of the 9th, score tied at 1 with 1 out. Ricky Leday puts this one into the right center field seats to win it. The Yankees complete the 3-game series sweep of the Indians. The Detroit Tigers beat the slumping Boston Red Sox 9-1. Toronto took the American League wild card lead with their 11-3 win in Chicago as Sean Green hits his 29th home run. The American League West leading Rangers held off Tampa Bay. Texas has won 10 of 11 since the All-Star break. Jermaine Dye hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 10th to carry Kansas City over Oakland. Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. hit back-to-back home runs in Seattle's 1-run win over Minnesota. Cal Ripken drove in the winning run in the 11th inning as Baltimore beat Anaheim. Albert Bell had 3 home runs and 6 RBI in the game. The Atlanta Braves were in Philadelphia. Bottom of the 8th, Braves leading 4-1, bases loaded when Tom Glavine delivers to Ron Gant, who sends a liner into left center gap. 3-run score on the double by Gant. Game is tied at 4. The teams went to extra innings. Top of the 10th, the Braves' Chipper Jones facing Steve Montgomery, and Chipper goes deep for his 24th home run of the season. That made it 5-4, so the Braves extend their National League East lead to 1 game over the Mets. In Houston, behind solid pitching from Shane Reynolds, the Astros extended their lead to 3 games over Cincinnati in the National League Central. And finally, Jason Schmidt threw a 4-hitter as Pittsburgh beat Montreal. That is all from the Sports Desk. Back to wrap things up at the Grand Prix of Sonoma right after this.
This has been the Sun America NBC Sports Desk. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
The Porsche Boxster. There really is no substitute.
I don't know what makes my Italian family happier, talking or reading. But when we're doing both, we're in heaven. Every bowl of salad brings out unlimited family gossip. Every breadstick makes a very good point. Keep our glasses full and our forks busy, and we'll keep going. And that's how it goes when we're at the Olive Garden. It's what they call hospitaliano. We feel happy when you feel at home. In fact, I feel at home enough to tell you, Nina was not born with that nose. The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
We're gonna change your mind about coloring your gray with the natural look of Just for Men.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men. No one can tell with Just for Men.
Just for Men penetrates hair deep inside where natural color begins. Simply apply, and in 5 minutes, rinse. Gray is gone, matched up to the rest of your hair.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men.
The Mercury, the Comets. 2-time defending champion Houston hosts Phoenix in a rematch of last year's championship series. The WNBA on NBC next Saturday.
back at Sonoma and the Grand Prix of Sonoma for the American Le Mans Series. A dominating performance for BMW. J.J. Lehto and Steve Soper scoring the win. There you see the top 10. Let's go to the winner's circle and hear from the victorious team today. Here's Steve Evans.
Clapping his hands is J.J. Lehto. The BMW was the ultimate driving machine today with the ultimate drivers.
Well, it was, it was a good combination of drivers and good combination of teamwork. I think that, when we came here on Friday, nobody had been here before from the BMW team, and we had a lot of things to learn, and the other cars, Panos and Raffanelli cars, they were really quick, so we really had to catch up quick and work hard, but the whole team did a really great job, and I just got a good start. I qualified well, and it was just hard driving throughout the race.
Steve Soper, your first time here at Sears Point. What do you tell your fellow Europeans when you go home about this racetrack? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's a great racetrack. It's not easy. It's the first time I've ever been here. It's also the first time for me in the 99 BMW, so I had a lot to learn very quickly. But here, we know each other well, and JJ helped a lot and told me some lines and everything, and the rest came easy, but I'm very pleased to be back with him. We understand each other. We raced the whole year in '97, and he's a great teammate. He's very easy, very relaxed. He's great.
Mutual Admiration Society, and we'll see these boys back in Portland next Sunday here on NBC.
Dominating performance for them today in winning the Grand Prix of Sonoma. Now, in direct contrast to the dominating performance that the BMWs had in the prototype class, the GT race was won on the very last lap when Hans Stuck got by Kurt Wagner at the white flag. The race winner now in that class is with our Martin Haven.
Hans Stuck, very close last single lap to win it. Well, you made your move.
I tell you, I was afraid it's not going to get green anymore, and I had only one spot because the Porsche was pretty fast down the straight. And then Milner was on the radio early and signaled green, and I took the chance, just dived into him. He went left, I went right, that was it. But we only could win because Boris did a fantastic first half of the race. He gave me the basis for a win, and we are very happy we won our second race together.
Fantastic result for BMW and a chance well taken by Hans Stuck.
Somewhere in the next few minutes, Hans Stuck will be yodeling his victory tradition. We'll take a break, come back, and hear from the GTS winner next in just a moment.
Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Thank you.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
The BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
The American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Sonoma, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax, is brought to you by the Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family. By Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires. By BMW 3 Series. Everything your car does well, it does brilliantly. And by Toshiba Copiers and Fax, your source for digital connected office solutions.
Back at Sears Point Raceway, the victory in GTS and the Grand Prix of Sonoma has gone to Olivier Beretta and the Dodge Viper. Olivier, how was the race?
Well, my Dodge Viper was very quick. The Team Orca did a very good job, and the driver did what they have to do, so everything went well, and I'm very happy because it was the first time for everybody here, and the car was very, very quick. My Viper was fantastic today, always.
Class winner in GTS, Olivier Beretta and Team Viper. As we look at the top 10 in that class, a final thought on the Grand Prix of Sonoma from Bill Adam.
Well, I thought it was interesting that here was a track that favored handling, but next week at Portland, I'm looking forward to a totally different type of track. That is one that needs horsepower, it needs brakes.
Be sure to join NBC Sports next Sunday at 4 Eastern Time as our coverage of the American Le Mans Series continues with the Rose City Grand Prix of Portland, presented by Toshiba Copiers and Fax from the Portland International Raceway in Oregon. Next Sunday, 4 Eastern, here on NBC. Tonight on NBC, a powerful double bill that asks, are aliens real? Starting at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, with confirmation, the hard evidence of aliens among us, following at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. An NBC movie event, The Arrival, that is tonight. A night of extraterrestrial adventure here on NBC. For Bill Adams, Steve Evans, and Martin Haven, I'm Alan Bestwick, saying so long from the 1999 Grand Prix of Sonoma in Sonoma, California, where BMW has scored the victory today. You've been watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC.